Hey y'all, I have a new lesson for us here. I enjoy going through the various areas of Photoshop elements that we haven't paid attention to before to learn how to utilize them. And with this one, I think I'm going to be pleasantly surprised to find out that it is there. I think most of us miss it, and we begin to think of other ways to do this lesson. For this particular lesson, I made this line with the tool I'm going to be showing you. And we normally would think about doing lines and things like that in a different manner. So I'm going to show you first how most of us think to do it by getting down to our background paper first. And most of us are going to think about, well, let's just do square first, creating a new layer, making our selection, and filling it. This is the way we first think about doing it, or I tend to. And I'm going to deselect, and then I'm going to select another area, or I might want to contract the selection to select this more exactly, and hit delete. And that's how most of us think about making a border like that, or a frame like that. But there's actually another nice tool here in Photoshop Elements that I'm going to show you that you can work with. So let's make another new layer because we're playing here. Get rid of that first one. And actually, when I made my selection, I wanted the corners to be rounded. And so I feathered my selection. I don't know how much I feathered it. I don't remember. Let's just pick a random number of 50 because I'm just playing here. And make that selection. And you can see there's some really nice rounded corners on my selection. And I'm going to zoom in so you can watch this happen as I do this. Now I'm going to go to the Select drop-down menu. You can think and remember Select because we just made a selection. And I'm going to go to Modify and then Border. Now this is the little hidden tool that most of us forget is there and don't utilize, that this whole lesson is going to be about. And you click that and you have a choice of how many pixels you want. This is going to be how wide the border is. For my case, I think I did use a very small width, but you can use a big one for whatever you're going for. Click OK, and you see what happened to my selection. Now I have a double line. What has happened is my selection has turned into a border selection. And I can press to fill it. And now Control D to deselect, and you can see I have a nice border. For mine, what I made mine to be, I'm just going to share with you how I did it. I had my photos. Let's get some photos up here. That one, and that one. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. And this one. And I actually, when I had these photos up when I made my border, so I made my border go around them. I'm going to go ahead and just move these over for right now. I don't think it was this photo. I think it was a missing photo here. I have extra photos in here. I don't think that was it either, but we're going to leave that there for now. And so what I did was to select this area. I just kind of placed my photos first, and then I eyed it and took this section from this photo to this photo, and I put it on a new layer, Control J. Did it put it on a new layer? Let's try that again. Control J. And then I moved that selection over to where it was with this photo. And then I went back to my original one and made that selection again and deleted that. Oh, deleted it from this one. Now, because I have a high feather, when I deleted that section, Control D, you can see it feathered it. And actually this line here should be below the photos, but I can actually just do this and feather it down. See, and this here is feathered. And then I went ahead and I wanted to make this, I think I did, match over here, and so I feathered and removed this section. You got to be on the right line, on the right layer. And that's basically how I made my line. Now you can, like I said, make it much thicker. Let's just go play. Select drop-down menu, modify border. Let's say I wanted to make it 50. You can see now that made a much larger border, and I can fill it. And because it's feathered, you're going to see it feathered out. It's not, if I would have made it solid, it wouldn't be gradually softening toward the edges. Now let's say I wanted to do some other things with this. I might want to, let's hit undo so I'm still selected, and let's say I want to make it a little bit more blurry. So I'm going to apply a little bit more of a Gaussian blur to it, and then maybe I might want to try a filter. I'm going to try this. Before I do that, I'm going to hit my keyboard so that it's got some, I want some different colors in it, because some of these filters utilize the foreground and background color. And I'm going to go do the craquelure. I can never say that word. Craquelure. It looks like craquelure filter, and hit OK. Just let's accept the settings, and you can see it's made a nice texture on there. I think the one I had was not the craquelure, but the stained glass. I had found one that looked really cool. Nope, it wasn't the stained glass that way. Let's cancel and reverse these. You know, just as always, you go in and play. There, see with the white? That looks kind of cool. This one always reminds me of snake skin. But when I put it on here, it almost works as if it's chipped paint. Actually, it didn't work that way this time, but I think it did with a smaller width. And so you can think outside the box and think about what you can do with this, because you can make any shape easily into a border using this tool. Think about all the different shapes that you can make with your selection tools, or even with your shape tools. I don't know what we're on here. We're on arrow. So you've seen me do this before in other lessons. I'm going to hold down the Control key and get the selection of this arrow, and then make a new layer and go to the Select menu, Border, and then fill that in. And it's as easy as that to get an outlined selection. But here's another thing we're going to play with. I've got this photo here. I just put on a plain old white background, and I'm going to show you an idea of how you can kind of make a mosaic using this tool. And so I'm going to go down to a 0 feather and make a selection of my photo just randomly. I'm going to press Control J to put that selection on a new layer. That's what we're working with. I'm going to hold down my Control key and make a new layer so it goes below the other layer. That's in one of the quick tip tutorials. And I'm going to hold down my Control key and click on this layer to make a selection of my square shape. Go to the Select drop-down menu, Border, and I don't want this very high. I want to, in fact, just do 4. And now I have a small border there. Zoom in so you can see. I want to fill that with black. And it's interesting how it filled it off to the side. So then I'm going to apply a Gaussian blur to it to make it more like a drop shadow. Oh, it didn't. It did it off to the side because let's turn this layer off, and you can see it's not. It's because it's below this layer that appeared to be by the side, and it's exactly what I wanted to have going on here. I have a little bit of a looks like a drop shadow on this photo. Now let's see what happens if you apply a normal drop shadow to this photo. Let's go to the right layer. And this is what it looks like. And you could create this mosaic by just applying a drop shadow to this layer, and it would look fine. But as we know, with the angles and things on drop shadows, I could drop the distance down and it would look good. It would look a little better. But if we clear the drop shadow and go back and look at this, you can see this is a little bit different than the kind of drop shadow you can get with just using a drop shadow. So this might get you thinking on ways you can utilize this other than to just make a border of something. I'm going to go ahead and make another selection here just randomly, and let's just do this again. New layer below. You can see how quickly this goes. Selection. We're going to make that border. I'm going to use Alt Backspace to fill my border. I've already got that Gaussian blur going, and deselect, and immediately I have a new one. I want these two, though, to go above the other layer. There we go. Now we're beginning to get this little mosaic kind of thing going on. I can lock these two layers, and let's kind of move them. And I'm going to lock these two layers, and let's move them a little bit this way. And moving them is actually what makes this mosaic kind of thing work. I'm going to continue this on. Let's make another selection. Control J, new layer, selection, make our border. You can see how quickly this goes once you figure it out. Alt backspace to fill it in, and then run our blur, or I could just hit Control F, then deselect, and we have another part to the mosaic. And I'm just going to move it a little slightly off. And you can go through and do this with different sizes of your shapes. Let's say I'm going to do one going down now. And make a new layer below, make my selection. Control F, whoops, Alt backspace to fill up, Control F to blur, Control D to deselect, and I'm going to lock these together and move this up a little bit and move this over. And there, you can see how the mosaic is kind of coming along. I might have made that drop shadow a little bit larger, maybe not. You might want to think about doing it in a different color than black. You know, it might work well in white. Let's just see. But I would make them all the same. But just so we can see how it works. Let's make it a little larger, just see what happens. And there it is in white. Actually, it doesn't look bad having it in white. Some in white and some in black. And the border's a little bit bigger. For this instance, I think that 6 is a little bit better than the 4. Oh, and let's move it over just a tad. For this mosaic technique, it works best if you move it over. And so you're kind of getting an idea. Let's zoom in of another way that you can utilize this to make kind of some kind of cool artistic thing. Let's move these two down. There. So I think that looks better. Use your imagination. This lesson is for you to utilize this select and border under the select modify border. I don't have anything selected, so you can't see it, so I'll select something. Select modify border. That's what your lesson is. Find some kind of cool way, like I did in my layout, or a mosaic, or any other way that you can think of that you can utilize this border thing to do something cool in your layout. I want you to think outside the box and get artistic and have fun.